Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials or any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
So yesterday I couldn't join. Hope you had received the mail from
Yeah,
my
no,
manager.
no. Yeah. How's your health now?
No, no, just I was not feeling well, so that should be fine. So a little bit of body pain
Yeah.
was there yesterday.
Yeah, he told me that you actually took some sessions continuously. So
Ah, yes, 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 yes.
take rest,
So
man.
last week,
Health is also
and
equally important.
yeah. The whole last week I had full day session. Okay,
Oh my God.
so on top of it, I took that 8:30 to 10:30 session, right? Okay,
Right,
so
right.
at a stretch, I took it, and also in weekend also couldn't have the proper sleep also. So that's the reason I couldn't take it yesterday. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I will cover it up. Okay, so like let's see whether I'll be able to cover it up by Thursday itself. If it is not, so Friday 1 hour I will get it from you guys. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, okay, Kilesh. So let's start with it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so today we are going to start with recordings on, I think. Yeah. Okay, so today we are going to start with the lambda expressions. So before going to lambda expressions, let me write some simple function that is def calc func num comma value is equal to 2, and then I can just write return num star value. Okay, so this is just a simple function wherein we are just calculating num star value, that is num to the power of value. Okay, so and also I'm just printing I'm just printing the reference here. I'm not executing the function, I'm just printing the reference, and I'm printing what is the type of function. Okay, type of this function, that is calcfunc. Okay, and let me invoke it with with two different sets of parameters. One is just by passing num. Anyways, value has the default parameter, so phi square will be calculated in this case. So this is nothing but calc func1. Okay, calc function 1, and similarly, let me calculate calc func 2. I can say calc func 5 comma 3. Okay, so now what will happen in the second function? So value will be overridden by 3 from 2. So phi cube will be calculated in this case. Okay, so if it is phi cube, that's nothing but 125. So now if I execute this, let's say Python lambda expressions and scopes .py. Okay, what is the mistake I have done here? Oh, okay. So see here, this is the problem if I give parentheses over there, because we are just finding the type of function. Okay, function reference. We should not execute it. Okay, so in this case, let me execute. So now you can see, first it is printing the reference, that is function calcfunc at some reference, and what is the type of it? It's nothing but class function. Okay, and you can see the results. Calc function 1, it is 25. Calc function 2, it is 125. So what we have done in this particular function block, we have just calculated, okay, there is some expression and we have just returned it. We are not doing any other stuff apart from evaluating one expression and returning it. Okay, so in this type of functions, instead of writing two different lines of code, Okay, instead of writing two different lines of code, I can just write a single line expression. That is nothing but lambda expressions. So lambda expressions are nothing but it's a single liner function. Okay, that is one liner function. Okay, lambda expressions are nothing but it's a one liner anonymous function. Okay, one liner anonymous function. What is that anonymous? That is, if you see, whenever I print the reference, you can see some name is associated to it. Okay, but if you print this particular reference, it will just say lambda, whatever reference that you write. Okay, it will just say lambda, like function lambda at some reference like that. Okay, and it can take any number of parameters, okay, in any forms. Like we had seen different forms of parameters, right? Like keyword parameters, positional parameters, variable length parameters, and default parameters. It can take any number of parameters in any form. Okay, but it evaluates, okay, but it evaluates just only one expression. Okay, but it evaluates just only one expression, and the evaluated expression will be returned to the caller by default. Okay, the evaluated expression will be returned to the caller by default. It is not required to mention the return statement over here, that is in the lambda expression. Okay, so whatever expression you give, okay, any valid single line expression can be placed. We have seen list comprehension, dictionary comprehension, single line if else statements, okay, any type of arithmetic operations, okay, anything you can place it over here. So now if I want to rewrite the same function into lambda expression, what can we do is I can write calc underscore lambda is equal to lambda num comma value. That is, lambda is a keyword which signifies we are going to write one lambda expression. So you can see here like num comma value, that is this particular parameters, whatever parameters that you have, that has to be placed over here. That is num comma value is equal to 2. Once you are done with the parameters, you have to place colon, okay, and then space. You have to write the expression that has to be evaluated. That's it. This is called a lambda expression. So if I want to invoke it, you can just write the variable name, variable which has stored the lambda expression. Okay, the variable which has stored that lambda expression. So I can write calc underscore lambda 1. I can call the same thing calc lambda of 1, and also I can write calc underscore lambda 2 is nothing but calc lambda of 2. So now you can see the same type of output. Excuse me. So the only difference is here you can see the name of the function associated to it. But over here you can see just it has marked as lambda. That means there is no name associated to this function. Okay. So this is what the lambda is. And in this place, you can have any type of expression, that is any type of one line expression. See, I can just have like this also. That is, it's a tuple, right? Num comma value comma num star star value. So basically, this is a tuple. You should place parenthesis. If you forget to place the parenthesis, that will throw the error. Okay, see here. See here. Name value is not defined. Okay, the thing is you should place within the parenthesis. So now you can see 1 comma 2 comma 1, 2 comma 2 comma 4. That is 1 2 1 square, 2 2 2 square, right? So this is what the thing is. So let me just give okay, let me just give 5 and then 5 comma 2. Okay, so now you can see the output like this: 5 to 25. Okay, 5 to 25. 1 second. How come? What mistake I'm doing there? Okay, I'm passing the same value, right? Let me pass 5 comma 3. So now you can see 5 to 25, 5 3 125. Okay, so you can have any type of single line expression. Okay, and also if I want to have some list comprehension over here, you can just write like this. Okay, so list comprehension as the return value. Okay, list comprehension as the return value in lambda expression. So hope you remember comprehension. Let me write SQR is equal to lambda max underscore num. Okay, I can write that is num star star 2 for num in range of 1 comma max underscore num plus 1. Okay, so now what will happen in this case? For example, if I invoke, okay, square 1, let's say SQR of 5. Okay, let me just invoke it 3 times. Okay, so for square 2 I'm just giving SQR of 10, and for square 3 I'm giving SQR of 20. Okay, now what will happen in these 3 cases? That is, I have some common list comprehension placed. So whenever I pass this parameter, so if I pass a parameter, max num will be 5. So range of 1 comma max num plus 1. So for the first function call, it is 1 comma 6. So from 1 to 5, the square will be calculated and it will be stored into this particular list. Similarly, for 10, 1 square to 10 square, and for 20, 1 square to 20 square. So now you can see here 1 square to 5 square is first, that is it is stored in this particular here, and then 1 square to 10 square and 1 square to 20 square. Okay, so like this we can have some generic lambda expression and then we can evaluate it for any purpose. And also I can have some conditional expression also. Okay, that is conditional, that is Boolean value as the return value, okay, in lambda expression. So for that, what we can do in this case, I can just write something like this: check num. Okay, whatever number that you pass, you want to check whether it is greater than 0 or not. Okay, and I can say num is less than 10. So that means what? This number should false between 1 and 9. Okay, so now if I just execute this for several inputs, okay, let's say check number -5. Okay, so I can write check num of -5 and print check number +5. Okay, check num of 5, and then I can say check number 50. I can say check num of 50. So now what will happen in this case? Only for second one it will return true. Only in that case these two conditions will be satisfied. But if you take the first statement and the last statement, okay, for first statement this will be failed, that is -5 greater than 0 is failed, so it returns false. and for the last one, it is less than 10, that will be failed. So hence it returns false. Okay, so now you can see the output like this: false, true, false. All right, so you can place any single line expression, okay, any single line expression over here. All right, Akhilesh, any doubts?
और क्या बोलूं?
Yeah, Mohan. Then.
Yeah. This is it.
और क्या बोलूं?
Akhilesh?
Sorry, Mohan. What you say?
बोलो क्या
No,
और
no,
बोलूं?
no. See, this is lambda expression. So if you want to try, you can try now. So you want to try, Akhilesh? Or shall we move on?
This conference will now be recorded.
Sorry, Mohan. I had to go. Yeah, you were saying something. Sorry for that.
Yeah. So,
You please continue, Mohan. I'm listening.
okay, fine. Okay, so this is nothing but lambda expression. So now we are going to talk about scopes. Okay. So scopes. So like in other programming languages, we don't have access modifiers like public, protected, like that. Okay, so what we have to do is depends on the keyword called global. Okay, we can declare the global variable. So we don't have public and private and all. Okay, over here. So for that we have something else. So now consider I have a function. So def change underscore num. Okay, or else let's say change underscore where, and then I'm just displaying in change where. Okay, now I'm going to define one variable where is equal to 5. Then I'm calling the function change where, and then I'm printing after change where I'm printing where. So now what will happen? We know the function block will be executed only when it is invoked. Before it is getting invoked, the function block will never be executed. So we have something called where is equal to 5, and I have said change where, that is I am invoking the function after defining one variable. So now what will happen in this case is this particular where will take the same reference which is declared outside the function, that is 5, and after change where it is also 5. There is no change in the execution, there is results. Okay, so now you can see in change where it is 5 and after change where it is 5. Now consider I'm saying inside the function I'm saying where is equal to 50. So now what will happen? Whenever you declare any variable within the function, by default it will be having its limited scope within the function. So in this case, within the function it will be having the value as 50, and outside the function this value will be just 5, because this where is equal to 50 is just within this function. So now you can see the output. In change where it is 50, after change where it is 5. Okay, now consider if you change the value of where within the function, you want that value should be reflected even outside the function. nothing but public variable. Okay, if you want to do that, before assigning the value to that particular variable, what you have to do is you have to say global var. You should say this within the function, not outside the function. Only then this will be considered as global reference, that is public reference. So in this case, what will happen? In both the places, it will be having the same value as 50 and 50. This is how you can define the public variable in Python. Right. Now, let me have another function, def change var again. In this case, I am saying var is equal to 500, and then I am writing in change var again, it is var, and then now I am just calling the function change var again, and then I am printing it after change var again. I am just printing the variable var. So if you say one global reference of var within one particular function, it doesn't mean that this var is public throughout the program. So var will be public only within the function and outside the function. That's it. If you have used the same variable within another function and like this, that is var is equal to 500, and this particular variable is still considered as private to that particular block. So now what will happen in this case? In change var it is 50, after change var it is 50 because I have made it global here, and in change var again it is 500, after change var again it is 50 because this 500 is limited to this particular block. Okay, so now let's see 50, 50, 500, 50. So now if I want, okay, now if I want this particular variable should be reflected even outside the function, I have to say global var, even in that function. Only then this particular variable will be considered as public reference. So now you can see in change var it is 50, after change var it is 50, in change var again it is 500, and after change var again it is 500. So this is how you can define the public variable in Python. So next one, consider I have another function that is def, that is, let's say, pass by reference. Okay, change underscore list, and then I'm having one parameter called list, and then I'm saying lst dot extend of 4, 5, and then I'm printing after, sorry, in change list, I'm printing the variable called lst. Then I'm just saying num list is equal to 1, 2, 3. Then I'm calling the function change list of num list. Then I'm printing it, print after change list. After change list, I'm just printing num list. So now what will happen? So this is the same case with dictionary as well, because both are mutable objects, right? So we have seen the difference between mutable and immutable, right? Okay. Now, what I'm doing here, so 65, that is at line number 65, I have defined one variable called numList, which holds the value 1, 2, 3. It's a list, so it is mutable. I can add the elements to it. So whenever I say change list of num list, what will happen in this case? So change list function will be called, and the reference of num list is passed to LST. So LST and num list will be pointing to the same reference. So over here, what will happen? It will be assigned like this. LST is equal to num list. So in this case, both will point to the same reference. Okay, in this case, both will point to the same reference. So it's called as shallow copy, we used to say. Okay, this is called as shallow copy. That is, both the data and the reference will be copied. Okay, this is what both the data and reference are copied. That's called as shallow copy. All right. Then now, whenever you modify LST, num list will also be impacted. Whenever you modify num list, LST will also be impacted. So in this case, I have the reference of num list stored inside LST, and then whenever I modify LST over here, this will also be modified. So in change list, it is 4,5, and after change list, num list will also hold the same value, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so within the function it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and after change list it is again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this is called shallow copy. So that is, both the reference and the data are copied. So you guys know what is the purpose of extend function, right? Extend means it will add each and every element of the another iterable object to the list. Okay, so in this case, you can see in both the places you will be having the same set of values. You can see here in change list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and after change list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Clear? Now consider I'm just doing the function like this. I'm just doing the function invocation like this. That is, instead of doing like this, I'm just saying num list of colon. What is this num list of colon? That is, I'm passing only the data, not the reference. So LST is equal to num list of colon. So this copy is called as deep copy, and only the data will be copied, but not the reference. Only the data is copied, okay, and not the reference. Okay, only the data are copied and not the reference. So in this case, what will happen? Whatever you modify to LST will not impact num list. So as of now, num list is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So in change list, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 4, 5. But outside change list, num list remains the same as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's see this. You can see here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the purpose of pass by reference. All right. So, but in case, instead of doing this, if you just do like this, LST is equal to 4,5, no changes will be impacted, because LST is always 4,5 in this, but num list will not be modified at all. See here, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Because what is the reason? What is the reason behind it? Because we are assigning the value. Whenever you do like this, by default, it creates its local scope within the function, like we had seen earlier. Okay, hope it is clear to everyone. Yeah, any doubts? Any doubts, Akhilesh? Okay, so next one, we are going to see non-local scope. Okay, next one we are going to see non-local scope.
To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the 3D99 plan and grow your skills immensely.
Okay, so what is this non-local? We have seen global, but what is the purpose of non-local? This non-local scope can be used only inside nested functions. Nested functions, the new concept, right? Function within a function. We have heard about nested if else, nested loops, but what is this nested function? It's nothing but function within a function. So consider I have DEF outer, then I'm saying num is equal to 5, and then I'm saying DEF inner, okay, and saying num is equal to h, okay. So even though it's a nested function, this function has to be invoked explicitly in order to execute it. Okay, then I'm invoking it here, inner. And the scope of this particular function only within this function. Inner function will not be visible outside outer. The scope of this inner function is only limited within outer function. Okay, so once I call inner function, then I am printing num. What is the value of num now? Let me call outer. So num will be, so even though it is the nested function, the logic implies same. That is, whenever you assign any new value to a particular variable, the scope will be within that particular function. Only within this, okay, only within this num will be 8. If you come out of inner, the num will be still 5. Okay, so now you can see the output, it is 5. So here I can't use global. See, for example, let me use global here. Okay, so now let's see what will happen. See here, num is just 5. Okay, num is just 5. It is not changing, even though I made it global here. Okay, let me make it global here. Let me remove this. But still there is no impact. Num is just 5. I want num has to be 8. So in this case, what should I do is, I have to just say non-local num, just global. That's why non-local can be used only within the nested functions. I can't use it over here. I can't use it over here. Okay, look at this now. Syntax error. No binding for non-local num found in line number 81. Okay, so non-local cannot be used in the outer function. That can only be used in the inner function. So now what will happen in this case? You can see answer is H. Whenever I say non-local num within the inner function, okay, within the inner function, so whatever you have assigned to that particular variable, that will be reflected even outside the function, outside the nested function. That is the purpose of non-local keyword. Okay, that is a function of non-local keyword. Clear, Akhilesh? If you want to try, you can try. Okay, if you want to try, you can try, and let me know once it is done. Akhilesh, is it done?
Yeah, Mohan, it's done. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Akhilesh. Okay, so now let's see file handling. So now we are going to see how we can handle the files. Okay. That is how we are going to create the regular files. Okay. So file handling. So basically we have three primary modes. One is R, which is nothing but read, and it's a default mode. Then we have W, which is nothing but overwrite mode. Whenever you open the file with W, it will overwrite the existing content. And next one, we have the append mode. Whenever you open the file with append mode, if the file is not exist, it will create. If the file exists with some contents, it will be adding. It will add the new contents to the existing file. So first, let's see W and A, and let's see read mode separately. Apart from this, we have R plus, W plus, A plus, then for binary modes. Okay, so apart from this, we have R plus, read and write, A plus, append and write, W plus, read and write. Then RB, read in binary mode, WB, write in binary mode, append in binary mode, RB plus, WB plus, and then AB plus. Okay, so now let me write a function, write file. The first one is file name, next one is file mode. I'm going to have some two parameters here. One is file name, other one is file mode. And then first we are going to open the file. So I can write f handle is equal to open of f name comma f mode. We need to mention file name and the file mode. That is in which mode I'm just going to open the file, and then I can just close the file here, f handle dot close. And then I'm going to get the input from the user. That is while true. So we know what is the command to input, right? That is function to input, right? So I can say line is equal to input of enter any line. If the user enters, okay, EOF in any case, I'm just going to come out of the loop. That is, I'm going to stop writing the contents to the file. So whenever the user enters line dot upper is equal to EOF, I'm just coming out of the loop because I have while true. While true will always be satisfied, right? And then I can write the contents to the file. Then I can write it f handle dot write. I can write line plus slash n. Why I'm adding slash n? If I'm not adding slash n, what will happen? It will write all the contents in the same line because it's a number of characters. Write method writes the number of bytes that you have given as the input. So that's why we are appending slash n over here. Okay, so now I'm going to call this particular function by having W and A modes. So first I'm going to create the file. That is, I can write file data.txt comma W, and then I can just print it file created. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add the contents to the file. So I can write file data.txt comma A, and then I can just print it like contents appended. So now what I have done, I have invoked the same function twice, okay, by passing the file name as the first parameter and mode as a second parameter. Whenever I open the file in W mode, okay, the file is not exist, the file will be created. If the file is exist with some contents, the file will be overwritten. That is, every time you open a file with W mode, it will create a new file. And I have created some file. Now what we are going to do is we are going to add some contents to it. Okay, so for that I'm going to use append mode. Okay, so if you open the file in append mode, if the file is not exist, it will create the file. If the file is present with some contents, it will add some contents to the file. Okay, that's nothing but append mode. And here I'm not mentioning the path of the file. If the path is not mentioned, the file will be created in the same directory. Okay, that is in the same working directory. All right, so let me just execute it. So Python file handling. So I can write Python scripting is so much efficient, and then I can say EOF. So what is this EOF? If I enter EOF as the input, okay, it will come out of it, right? Let me say, see here, it is saying file created. Now you can see the file with some contents here. Python scripting is so much efficient. Now the second function call, okay, it has opened the file with append mode. Okay, so now if I work, it is developed by Guido van Rossum in early 1990s. Okay, so now if I say EOF, it has come out now. So now if I open the file, you can see 5 lines would have written. You can see it is developed by Guido van Rossum in early 1990s. It has been, okay, it has been appended. The contents has been appended. Okay. Okay, the contents has been appended. So this is how we can open the file in W and append mode. So now we have the contents. For example, if I run the file again, what will happen? It will just recreate the file. Okay, so I'm just going to comment it out. Okay, so now let's see how we can read the contents from the file. So now what we are going to do, so over here, first we open the file and we performed some file operations, and then we just close the file explicitly, right? So basically within this open and close, you can write the contents anywhere in the code. It doesn't mean that you should always write it over here like that. Okay, between open and close, you can perform any file IO operations, depends on the mode. But we have something called with block, with open off. Okay, and then I have something like data.txt, that's a file name. So here it is not required to mention the mode. Even if you are not mentioning the mode, okay, in the open method as a second parameter, by default the file will be opened in read mode, because read mode is a default mode that I have mentioned it over here. Okay, and then I can write as fread, let's say pause for the time being, that is the empty block. So now if I try to read some function, okay, that particular file, what will happen? It will throw me the error, because you can perform IO operations only within this particular block. If you come out of this particular block, the file will be automatically closed. So now if I execute it, I will get an error. See here, IO operation on closed file. So if you use with the block, if you come out of the particular block, the file will automatically be closed. So it is not required to mention this line at all. Okay, it is not required to mention that particular line at all. Okay, so now let's see how we can read the contents. So first one, we have read method. Okay, so read in terms of bytes. So I can write print contents read 1. Let me say f3 dot read of 10 and print contents read 2, f3 dot read of 20, and then I'm saying contents read 3, f3 dot read without any parameters. So in this case, what will happen? So we all know whenever you open the file in read mode, the file cursor will be placed at the beginning of the file. Okay, so whenever I say f3 dot read of 10, the first 10 characters will be read. The first 10 characters will be read. You can see the number of characters here. Okay, first 10 characters will be read. And then next I'm saying f3 dot 20. So whenever I say read of 20, what will happen? From that file cursor, the next 20 characters will be read. Okay, from that, the next 20 characters will be read. All right. And whenever I say without any parameters, what will happen? The entire contents, that is from that file pointer, and the entire contents will be read in the form of a string. Okay, so look at this. So first 10 characters, Python space str, and the next 20 characters, iptang/n is so much f, and contents read 3, the remaining characters have been read. So this is the purpose of read method. So now if I perform any read operation, I will get just empty string. Why? Because all the characters have been read by this point. Okay, all the characters have been read by this point. So there is no characters left in order to read the contents from the file. Okay, so for that case, what we have to do, either we need to open, that is either we need to reopen the file, or now the cursor is over here. Now I need to move the cursor back to the beginning of the file. So what I'm going to do, instead of reopening the file once again, I'm just moving the cursor back to the beginning of the file. So for that, I can say fread.seek of 0. Okay, I can say fread.seek of 0. So now I'm going to talk about read line method. What is the purpose of read line method? So read line method stops reading once it reads new line character, that is /n character. Okay, once it reads new line character, it stops reading it. So now let me write contents read line 1. I can write fread dot read line of 10 and print contents read line 2. I can say fread dot read line of 20, and then I can say contents read line 3. I can write fread dot read line without any parameter. Okay, so now if you see these two method invocations, both look similar. There is no difference in it, both look similar. Now what is the difference in functionality? So now we have moved the cursor back to the beginning of the file. Now what I have mentioned here, it stops reading once it reads /n character. So first I have given 10. So it starts reading the character from the file pointer. So I have given the limit as 10. So the 10th character, so 10 characters it will read. So until 10 characters, there is no new line character. So it reads the entire 10 characters. Okay, clear? And now, if I say 20, now from here, if I start reading, you can see the /n character is present here. So now it stops reading the character once it finds /n. So it will just read ipting/n. That's it. Then next, without passing the parameter. That means from the file pointer till that end of the line. For example, consider there is a file pointer here. If you are not passing the parameter, it will read the rest of the line. If the file pointer is at present, it's at the beginning, it reads the entire line. Okay, so now you can see the output. You can see contents read line 1 is Python SCR, contents read line 2 is ipting, and contents read line 3 is so much efficient. All right. Right. So this is the difference between read and readline method. So next method is very, very simple. In order to read all the lines, okay, it reads all the lines from the file pointer. Okay, so I can just write contents, okay, contents, or let me just save it. All underscore lines is equal to fread.readline. Okay, so now if you print this all lines, what will happen? All the lines will be stored in the form of a list. You can see here. You can see here. Okay, so all the lines has been stored in the form of a list. Line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5. Okay, and then you can see /n everywhere. Now consider you have some file contents in the form of list like this. Okay, in the form of list like this. You have some file contents, it's in the form of in this particular list. So consider I want to add some more lines here. Okay, I can add it, right? I know the methods and all, no? I know the methods and all, no? So what we can do, I can just, that is, add some more lines. So I can just write all lines dot insert 2, that is, I'm adding to the third line. Okay, so this is new line 1, and then again I am adding to fourth line. This is new line 2. So I have to say /n. Okay, that should be there. All right, so now I am going to print all these lines. So now you can see the output here. So you can see this is line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5, okay, line 6, line 7. So now I have 7 lines now. Okay, now I have 7 lines. So if I want to update, or if I want to write all these lines to a new file, what can I do is, it's very, very simple. Add these lines to a file. What can I do is, I can say fread.writelines of all lines. Okay, so now you can see all lines return to another file. Oh, sorry, that's my mistake. Okay, so I can say with open of, I can say some another file like data underscore copy.txt, comma w, as fwrite, okay, and then I can write fwrite dot write lines of all lines. This is how I have to write, okay. So now let's see what I have done. I have opened a new file, data underscore copy dot txt in write mode, and then I have just said write lines. The input to this write lines method, it should be list of lines. The input to write method is nothing but the list of character, that is one line. But write lines is a list of lines you have to pass. So now let's see all lines written to another file. Okay, so now let's see Python scripting. It's so much efficient. This is new line 1, this is new line 2. It is developed by Guido van Rossum in early 1990. Okay, so now we have copied the data by modifying the existing data to another file. All right, Akhilesh, any questions you have? Any questions you have?
Yeah, Mohan.
Yeah, tell me, Akhilesh.
So Mohan, this open data copied.txt,
Hmm.
where you have created this .txt file. This is the same one,
See,
right?
no.
Which
This
you
is, see, this is data copy.txt.
have.
Data.txt is different. Okay, so this will be created in the same directory.
Yeah, so it is in the same directory. So it is taking
Yes.
so basically we are writing the program in the same
Hmm.
directory. That's the reason it has taken the same. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't need to specify that location, right? See,
Yes.
suppose.
Yes. Yes.
So
So
if this would
basically,
have been in, so basically, Mohan, if this file data underscore copy.txt, if it would have been in any other folder, so I would have to mention the exact path of it, right? And
yes.
slash, and how will it take slash? Actually,
See the,
in most of
for
the program languages,
example, one
backslash,
second,
right?
one second, one second, one second, second. I will just tell you that. Okay, so now consider I want to create the files in different directory. Okay, so I have to say somewhere over here. Okay, July 2020, and then let me say inside this files, let me give. Okay, and then now I can just write. Okay, see what you can do is either you can give, okay, let me just give it in a variable. Okay, let's say f name here. So I can write f name is equal to. So either you can give the double backward slash. Okay, either you can give double backward slash. Okay, or you can give single forward slash. Both are sufficient. Both are valid. Okay, either you can give double backward slash as the directory separator, or you can give a single forward slash. So now what will happen? See, right now there is no content in this, right? So now what we can do is you can say here, okay, all files into another file, right? So now you can see inside this, you can see the file data underscore copy.txt. Got it, Akhilesh?
Right, Mohan, I got it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Akhilesh. So today we'll stop it here. Okay, so we have covered some 3
Okay.
topics today. Okay, and
Okay.
tomorrow we will cover regular expression. Okay,
And
and modules and
Mohan,
packages.
is it like on Friday also we have the session, right?
No. I don't
Coming
know. So
Friday.
depends on how much we are covering like that. So mostly
So
we will
how
be
do
using
you
our-
see that? Because today we are closing 1 hour before. So how much is spent? I mean, how do you see that?
So 4 topics are there so far.
Okay, okay,
Okay, so regular expressions. Okay, and modules and packages, classes and objects, exception handling. Okay, so these 4 topics are there. So if I'm not able to cover
Okay.
by Thursday, okay, it will be extended till Friday.
Please enroll our general membership for $399 plan to get access of all the parts.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.